Hello, I'm Rosemary. That's 2.5 years since we uploaded my YouTube video all about making marmalade, and it quickly became my most watched food and cookery video. Now, unfortunately, through cancelling a Gmail email address, we then lost all my videos. So my YouTube channel disappeared and people wrote and said, "Where's your marmalade video?" Which of course was great. So this is a little preamble to get it back out there, but unfortunately what you won't be able to see now is that thousands of people have watched that video and all the lovely comments that they made. Now it's 3 months to Christmas, and that makes it 4 months to the Seville Orange season and marmalade making. I've just been checking my stocks. I've got 14 jars of this year's marmalade left, which is plenty for us. We live in Orkney, so we won't be getting many visitors over the short, rough winter days, but that will allow for our breakfasts and also for a couple of jars to give away at Christmas time, because homemade preserves always make brilliant presents. And just a word of advice, don't keep them in the same room as the boiler. I did that when we moved to Orkney with some of my preserves and they didn't like it and they went off. So I now keep them in a cool cupboard in a spare bedroom. So without more ado, here's the marmalade video that people have been asking for. I hope you enjoy it and find it useful. Bye for now. Hello, I'm Rosemary. I've loved making marmalade for years, and this is how I do it. Right. Put a white plate in the fridge to get really cold, then clean your jars. Get them into a warm oven to really dry off after washing and to sterilise. This is the most boring job. You can do it while the fruit's cooking, but I like to do it now so it's over and done with. So, use your recipe according to the size of pan that you have. My standard recipe that I'm sharing with you is just the 750 grams of fruit. So you could make that amount in this pan. But if you have a preserving pan, yes, go ahead and double it. And you'll have twice as much marmalade for the same cooking time. So what I do is I remove the end of the oranges. So the bit where the kind of stalk was, and the bit where it was connected to the tree. Now unfortunately all those little caps have actually fallen off the oranges, but I'm going to add a lemon as well for more pectin, and that's the bit I'm talking about. So that's the flower end and that's the stalk end, so just cut that out as well. Now you really should put 1 lemon in with every 750 grams of Seville's. Place those in a single layer in the pan. You need to cook that fruit with 1 litre of water, which should cover it completely, in a pan with a well-fitting lid. And it will need to simmer for about 1.5 hours to 2 hours until it's really soft. And at the end of that time, scoop the fruit out of the pan and allow it to cool until you can handle it. But keep the liquid, that's an essential part of the marmalade. Use muslin or wash J-cloths if you haven't got one of these jelly bags, and put it into a jug to make collecting the gubbins, the pips and the flesh from the fruit much easier. Cut the fruit in half. It will cool rapidly as you do it. Then take a spoon, it's the easiest way, and scoop out all the pips and flesh into the jelly bag. I used to make marmalade by squeezing the juice from the raw citrus fruit and then shredding the peel prior to cooking. The kitchen gets all steamy as you cook, and you do use more water in the cooking, and you have to reduce it correctly by 1/3 to get the finished marmalade to set. It's all much harder work than this method, which is really very simple to do. And I'm going to tie this up. And do remember, if you're a Bridget Jones film fan, do remember to use white string, you know, ordinary kitchen string, not the green garden string. It is a good idea. So that is going into the preserving pan. I hope that's in shot. And you can see I've captured all that juice that's come out of the core. And now the chopping begins. I like to cut my peel from the zest side, from the shiny coloured side. It's easier to cut right through. But you need to think about the length of the pieces of peel. So turn the fruit as you cut it to get the right length of shred in your finished marmalade. This quickly becomes second nature and gives you a lovely pile of separate shreds at the end of your labours. They just fall apart like that. Before you add your sugar, taste a bit of that Seville orange peel. That will show you completely what bitter tastes like. Especially put it on the size of your tongue. It's a bit of a whoo, but it is such a cleansing effect on the palate. Probably your tongue will pucker like crazy, but it's the one true experience of bitters. Now scrape all your prepared peel into your biggest pan. Then add the reserved water that you cook the citrus fruit in and 1.5 kilos of ordinary granulated sugar. Cook the marmalade slowly until the sugar's dissolved and then bring it to the boil. And that's why you need the big pan to let that sugary boil happen. Now you'll get towards setting point in 20 to 30 minutes. And my first indication is to see how the marmalade is dripping off the back of a wooden spoon. When the drops start to run together to form a big teardrop, it's time to put a little of the preserve onto that cold plate from the fridge and to test the set. Chill it again, then drag your finger through to see if it will wrinkle. If not, keep boiling. And keep spooning and chilling until wrinkle is reached. And there it is, wrinkle perfection. Now I'm just playing with it for our mutual delight. The marmalade now needs to stand for 20 minutes before bottling, but scoop the jelly bag out onto a plate and return any escaping peel to the pan. Take 2 plates that match, one on top of the other, and then you need to be careful about this. You need to squeeze. Now I'm trying to do this so that the plates aren't in front of my face and that I can squeeze like crazy. But can you see how much is coming out of that? And that's the difference between having full jars and not quite full jars. So after 20 minutes there will be a bit of skin on the marmalade, and in this batch there was a little scum from the sugar. I added just a sliver of butter and stirred it round gently until melted, by which time the scum had gone. If there's a lot of sediment on the marmalade, skim it off with a spoon and add it to a casserole for warming winter flavours. It's really good. Now for bottling the marmalade in those warm and sparkling clean jars. I put them on a baking tray as it makes cleaning up easier and is less sticky. And then I pour in the marmalade up to the shoulders of the jars. Now if you've left the marmalade to stand for 20 minutes, the fruit will be well distributed throughout. If all the peel rises to the top, you might want to tip the marmalade back into the pan and leave it a little longer. Once you're getting towards the end of the batch, go round and top up the jars. You might have some over for a tasting pot, but this batch filled my jars perfectly. There we are, just a little bit into each of those and not enough for our breakfast in the morning. What a shame. Now this is pedantic, but clean the rims of the jars to get a good seal with the lids. I use metal lids, but you need to check that there's no rust or mould on them, and you need to wash them thoroughly with the jars at the beginning. And this, of course, is where the fun starts. Have we got the right lids for the jars that we filled? It's looking good. Tighten them up and clean any stickiness off the jars. We're done, but here's some funky flavours. This is a Seville orange with chilli, and this is a Seville orange with cracked black pepper. Now, if you've travelled in the Far East at all, you will know that lovely feeling when you've got something for breakfast like pho, which has got chilli in it, and how invigorating it is. And I'm quite a chilli junkie in the mornings. I even put Tabasco into my granola that I make for us for breakfast. And I love that warming feeling that comes through from it. Now, for the 750 grams of fruit, if you want to have a little black pepper in it, I used a tablespoon of black pepper, and I just crushed the corns in a pestle and mortar, so really just cracked them. If you're not great with pepper, the bigger the piece, obviously, the bigger the surprise in the mornings. So I think you'll be able to see the sort of size from that in the actual marmalade. But one of my greatest thrills, having cooked at the Westdean Chili Fiesta for 20 years since it was inaugurated, I've got to learn a lot about chilies, and I love growing them and I'm really keen on eating them. But what I don't want is all fire and no flavour. And so over the years I have completely fallen in love with these guys, and these are lemon drop chilies. And what I do with them is I harvest them when they're ready, September, October time, and I freeze them whole. These have just come out of the freezer, and they're still frozen, and they shall go straight back into the freezer. What I did with this batch was I used 2 chilies that I had dried, and I actually put them in with the fruit while it was cooking. I just left them whole and pierced them so that the heat could go through from the water and extract their flavour. I then popped them into the jelly bag with all the gubbins. And then when I came to heat up the marmalade at the end, so I used just the flesh from 6 of these chilies, not the seeds, because the seeds are hot, but the flesh is so fruity and aromatic, and with the heat as well, I use it a lot in my preserves. But I haven't tasted this one yet, and look, there's my extras. So first of all, the set is lovely. I think my friend would be happy with that. The colour is glorious, and you can see that there. Really fruity, really bright and buzzy, and then this glorious warmth from those chilies comes through at the end. And because the sweetness to a certain extent masks the heat of the chilies, you get quite a lot of the heat on the side of your tongue. And that was 2 dried lemon drop chilies in the jelly bag, and then 6 chopped in the actual body of the marmalade. And for me, that's perfect. So if you grow your own chilies and love experimenting with them, put them in your marmalade as well. And I tell you what, that would be jolly nice with a bit of hard sheep's milk cheese as well. So making marmalade is amazingly creative. And as it says in the Paddington Bear movie, every family should have a marmalade day. It is a really good thing to get everybody in the family together cooking. And so come on, get into your kitchen and get making your marmalade. The Sevilles will be around for plenty of weeks yet. Bye for now.